So
Thank
the
you.
agenda will be as follows. I'll be passing on to Ranjeet, who will be running you through the webinar and the presentation. And then we'll be opening the room up for questions, which will be addressed by both Deeps and Ranjeet. Over to you, Ranjeet, if you can give a short introduction, and then we can start off with the webinar.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Yoli. And welcome to everybody. And I hope this session to be very insightful for you all. So my name is Ranjeet, as Shioli introduced. I'm part of ClickTrust. I manage partnerships here. So I think firstly, it's very good to see the participation here in numbers. So, which clearly talks about lead quality issue. The issue is big. So thank you everyone, and I hope you'll learn a lot from this session today. So, to begin with, lead quality. I'm sure you guys must be doing a lot of things around it. Uh, you know, when you're doing digital ad campaigns, there is a lot that you do in terms of campaign optimization, working on the forms, uh, bidding on the best possible keywords, since the market is so competitive. Uh, so yet there is this tussle that you guys have, between sales and marketing. So since we have a lot of people from marketing today here, I'm sure you must be able to relate to this, that sales is almost constantly coming to you, telling you that the leads are not good. Hello?
Yeah, Ranjeet, you can continue.
Am I able? Yeah, okay, okay.
Yes.
Right. So I'm sure this would be a constant fight, between the marketing team and the sales team. That the sales is always complaining that the leads are not good, the numbers are incorrect, there is no intent on the other side. Yet they have so much information on the CRM, so many leads that they can't do a lot with. So I wanted to bring your attention to something which you probably haven't heard of, or maybe it's very surprising, or maybe some of you might be knowing this, but you always feel that there is nothing that you can do about it. So basically, this is all about where the lead is originating from, you know, right at the source. We give this consent. Okay. So right at the source. So I'm sure, at the click level, you must feel that, a lot of this is out of your hands. But this is an area which actually silently, drains your spends and impact your lead quality. And this is going to only get worse, with the advent of AI and the sophisticated bots. Things are only going to get worse. What you probably might be losing in a month today in terms of your ad spends, you might just lose it in a few days of time, right? So this is where I wanted to get your attention to, specifically. So I hope you all can see the screen. Surely, am I audible? Because
Yes,
there's a
yes, you
little
are.
lag that I see on my
No,
side.
you're audible, you're audible.
I'm audible, right?
Yes.
All right. And also my screen is visible, right?
Yes, your screen is visible. We're on the first slide.
Okay, okay, okay. Awesome. So you're right. So this problem is everywhere. All sectors, D2C brands are facing this. Anybody who's spending huge on digital ads, they all are probably facing this. Not probably, they are 100% facing this. So this is across the sector. But what makes real estate the most vulnerable, or probably a lucrative target, is the money that's riding on you know on the ads. The amount that developers are today spending to get that attention of buyers. That's probably which makes real estate the most high value target for attacks on their ad spends. Because the CPCs are high. So all of this leads to a lot of issues around fake form fills, bot clicks. It's so competitive that competitors are trying to ensure that you drain your budgets as quick as possible. You lose. So by the end of this session, what we essentially want you to learn is how could you stop all of this? How could you make every rupee that you spend on your marketing budget or your ads, how could you make every rupee work for you? Ensure that you're getting the most value or the most output of your marketing budgets. So this is the whole agenda. As Shioli mentioned, um, I see there's a little lag on my side in terms of changing the slide. Okay, so right. So as Shioli mentioned, we respecting everybody's time, we'll just keep the session very short. We'll have a 25 minutes of core session, followed by a 10-minute Q&A. So you can put all your questions in the chat boxes and we'll be happy to answer it. And how have we structured this 25 minutes? It's very simple. We'll first try to understand this drain, something that you probably are not aware of, how bot traffic and these accidental clicks are silently stealing your ad budgets, right? And second, we'll understand the gap between the marketing dashboard and the sales numbers. And this tussle that's always there between marketing and sales. There's not better leads, the quality is bad. So we'll understand this gap. And number three, we will see what could we potentially do about solving this. We'll probably give you a framework, how you can tackle this at a click level. What can you do after the forms have been filled, and how could you potentially recover a good chunk of this spend that's going towards wastage or ad waste, right? So moving on. So as we all know, the market is exploding. There is, this industry is scaling faster, and gone are the days that we just used to depend on billboards and newspaper ads. So digital is the new frontline. We are all aware about it. Everybody is fighting for attention on screens. As the industry is scaling, as the volume is increasing, so has the ad budgets. The ad budgets have also followed, and everybody is trying to capture buyers' attention online. So that's something that we all are aware of. So today, marketing budgets could be as high as 5 to 8% of the project cost. So let's say we are talking about a 100 crore project, we are talking about 5 to 8 crores spent just on digital ads. This digital commands almost lion's share of 60 to 80% of this allocation. And with this, you're not just buying clicks. If you look at it that, marketing is just buying clicks and leads so that it can support sales. So, that's not all, because you are actually banking on these leads to secure you pre-launch bookings. So, if you look at it, it's not just a marketing problem, but this could also lead to an operational problem. This could also lead to a financial disaster. When this money is lost is one, but what you can't achieve leads to the impact is manifold. So that's the that's how big the problem could be. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. Recently, we audited a developer, spending nearly a crore monthly on digital ads. And what we found is that they were losing 20% purely on traffic. So we always attribute it to various factors, like, maybe the campaign needs to be optimized for better keywords, better reach, a better creative. But what we found was strange. They were losing purely 20% on traffic only. So what were they paying for exactly? They were paying for click farms. They were paying for these automated scripts, filling forms. They were paying for accidental taps. A lot of people just scrolling might just hit your banner accidentally, and you actually pay for that mistake. And then there are these crawlers and scrapers all around the internet, all around your websites, trying to crawl pricing details, information on your projects, etc. And there's a tendency of for these crawlers to trigger, pixels to fill your forms with junk data, which you call it as lead, right? And this isn't happening equally everywhere. I'm sure a lot of you here, might be depending on Google search, Google display, YouTube. So this isn't happening, at the same level in every channel. In our experience, we've seen Google search, to to still have a decent chunk, of leak where the leak is happening. Imagine you bid for a very competitive keyword like a 3 BHK penthouse in Whitefield, and when you have costing probably, I don't know, about 500 to 2,000 rupees, and now a competitor or a malicious click farm setup can easily set up an automated bot, right? They will find your keyword, they will click on your ad, spend on the ad time, spend some time, and then bounce. No intention, but you actually paid for that click, paid for that lead. And this widens when you go to channels like Google Display, YouTube, where you make a high production video, a walkthrough of your sample apartment, and these ads, there are malicious actors which actually create made for advertising websites. They create these apps where your ads are put in one by one pixel, so that it's humanly impossible for anybody to see that ad. Your ad is played, but it's played in a one by one pixel, almost invisible. And then these videos are also auto played in background of some video games, something where the user is also not aware of, right? So these are the tactics that fraudsters use to drain your ad budgets on Google search, in case of display. And when you look at affiliates, this can be even worse. Now, affiliates, if they what they are concerned with is just getting you leads, the volume of leads, and they can get really notorious. They generally, what they do is they offer rewards or small gaming points to random people, and then they'll make them fill these forms, fill your forms, fill your leads, and or probably in some cases they'll buy old databases from telecom operators and use some automated script to auto populate your forms. So these are the tactics that's happening in the market, right? Which a lot of us feel is out of our control, which is out of our hands, right? Now look at what happens when this junk leads come into your way. When these leads, clicks are happening, what happens after that? This is not just a problem of bad lead, but this problem compounds because Google's AI is watching your traffic. It learns from who clicks your ads. So let's say if a bot clicks your ad, the algorithm learns that this user is interested in your ad, and let me find more such users for this for your ads. So in this way, the problem compounds. You're effectively training Google to waste your money. So this is how scary the problem is, right? So I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking, what is Google doing? What is Google doing about it? It's not that Google isn't doing anything. Google catches some of it, but the rest is your problem. They do some baseline protection. They'll just filter out some obvious bot patterns, some known bad actors. They'll do a very basic check. They would sometimes, when they find this, they would also sometimes give you some credit when they later find it to be an obvious junk, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth. They earn revenue from your clicks. So every click that they actually filter is a potential revenue for them. right? So not saying that they are behind this, they will always be like, okay, let this go through. It's okay. I mean, in case, rather than blocking it proactively, if there are, especially where the signals are ambiguous, they will just let it go through, right? So the thing is, you can't solely rely on Google's protection, because there could be gray zone traffic where Google is a revenue earning party, and they would, as I mentioned, they would just let it go past. So you need to have some independent control, some control in with you. So now, okay, so now we understand, you know, junk leads have come in, as I mentioned in the start, the problem where marketing and sales is always, on opposite sides. It is purely because marketing thinks that they're winning, right? You see high click volume, there are lower CPCs, form fills are happening, your campaign looks very healthy on paper. So as marketing, you feel that you're doing probably everything right, but yet there is a divide. There's a big divide between sales and marketing, because when the salesperson is calling on those leads, uh, they aren't focusing on just converting, but they have to deal with a lot of problems. They have to manually fraud filter these leads, wasting hours on unreachable numbers, this accidental submissions. They have to go through all of this, while they are actually focusing on converting. So this leads to frustration in sales team, and that's why there is this constant, the constant nagging that marketing isn't doing much for them. You know, so this is potentially because of the factors that we just spoke about. How these junk leads are causing this to happen, and it is not just your sales team. Your CRM is also getting polluted. So now you have your CRM packed with leads which are incomplete, which doesn't have any intent, which are not, some of them are not human in reality, But you have a CRM now, your CRM also learns from all the bad inputs. You do your retargeting, you run retargeting ads on those leads. Your sales team is constantly putting their efforts on those leads. So this has a far bigger implication, right? So what we want you to do is, yeah. So this is one, and also as I mentioned, retargeting. Once you have that in your CRM, you're actually paying twice for it, as I mentioned, because you're retargeting those same bad leads again. So they become actively expensive for you, right? So here's what in our experience with working with top performers or probably top marketers, I would say, what we have what we have known from them or what we have learned from them is that there needs to be a paradigm shift, right? There needs to be the obsession of volume has to go. Of course, you need volumes, but then the focus should be on cleaner and verified leads. We don't want to dump broken leads or junk leads into sales pipeline. You know, I remember for volume of leads, one of the marketers had actually shifted almost 15 lakh of their budget from Google search to affiliates. We know that affiliates, they work very hard, to get you as many junk leads as possible. So, but here's the reality. I mean, they got the volume, they got a good number of leads, but CPLs were also low. But what happened finally is 40% of it was junk. So, we should emphasize on stopping, these bad leads or handing over low quality leads to the sales, right? So that should be the ideal focus. So here's what probably we want you to ask your teams, and these questions can be uncomfortable, but you know, it's very important for you to know the honest answers to these, because this might also change the way you look at optimizing your campaigns, right? So, essentially, we should look at what percentage of clicks do we believe are invalid. Uh, you know, uh, in reality, if 25% clicks are junk, your CPA is actually low, but because of the traffic, your returns are worse, right? So how does click fraud affect your reported? This is how it affects. Do you use any third-party detection beyond Google's built-in filters? And this is very important, because if you're running 50 lakhs to 1 crore a month in ads, and only solely depended on protection from Google. Think of it this way. You know, Google is somebody who profits from the clicks. So you can't solely depend on Google's basic filters, right? And what exclusions are active, right? And when were they last reviewed? you know so this generally happens that we everybody there's since we have an opportunity to exclude a few IPs. There is a tendency that some of you might be excluding a few bad IPs that you're aware of. But think of it this way, fraud is evolving every day. If not every day, at least every week it is evolving. And it is very important for you all to go back and review if this exclusion is happening on a regular basis, right? And that's where you can actually make the most out of this feature of excluding, right? And finally, if a competitor is systematically clicking on your ads, and what is the detection and what is the recourse for this, right? So in case, I'm sure a lot of you, might have this in mind that a lot of competitors, may resort to some of these things, but not knowing what can you do about it. So this is also an area which one should be very aware of, and what kind of detections can you put in place to tackle this, right? Right. So moving on, this is how your funnel is. It all starts from the entry, as I mentioned. The moment ads run, landing pages you have. So you have to tackle this at the source level. There are two entry points, as you see, fraud level, and then at the form fill level. So it's very important to verify leads after the form fill as well, right? Confirming if the number is real, the person is reachable, if there is a genuine intent, etc. Okay. So here's what we do exactly. As a tool, think of us as a CCTV camera. We sit at critical touch points like your landing page, your forms, carefully monitoring where the clicks are coming from. Is there a suspicious behavior to it, right? So we do this at multiple levels. So A is the click level, of course. Post click at form fill, post form fill also. There is another layer of protection that we offer. So at click level, we have set of 200 plus proprietary filters to check, to separate real buyers from junk. As I mentioned, we inspect the first touch point, not just the submitted lead. And there's enough evidence to back all of this up. There is the session recording for each and every user, there's heat maps, there is IP level information, device ID level information, type, and so on, right? And what happens, once if the click is genuine, you can nurture them. In case of bad traffic, we can send signals to Google saying that these are the kind of users that you need to exclude. And this can happen on a very regular basis, which over a period of time increase, or which gets you better audiences or gets you better users and better output from your campaign, right? So it has to be a continuous process, okay, of excluding audience, of telling Google that this is the set of people that we are looking for. Hence we create these buckets. When we know this set of users are genuine, we can send Google signals, and then have more of those users coming in. And in case of accidental tap, we give you information, so you can you can redo your retargeting activities, focus, try to see if you can arouse any intent, with accidental taps. So this is the first level. And then the second level is is after the form field has happened. To make it robust and foolproof, before the lead hits your sales team, we can enable an AI voice verification. So this promises your sales team a double verified lead, right? And before the CRM hits their phone, CRM, we are 100% sure that these leads are behavior verified and also voice verified, right? And of course, the numbers would show that. You can instantly see 20% of your budget, recovered, from your spends. Your CPA would drastically get reduced, and of course, the most important part is the relationship between sales and marketing, right? So now that sales is having that feeling, is feeling that marketing is doing their bit. At least they're getting numbers which are getting connected. They're spending time with customers on phone, and not just filtering those numbers and leads. Their morale is up. Their morale is up. They've been able to perform well. So, it's intangible, but then, that goes a long way in improving conversions and boosting it, right? And yeah, so the investment that you do in having this protection, gets you 12x of returns when you see all of this, right? So, so yeah, so I mean, some of the guys who are already doing this, as I mentioned, some of the top teams that have been doing this, what we've learned from them is what I wanted to share. So there is a clear pattern, there's a clear pattern, and there are some things that they really abide by. They really, swear by it, and it's very important for them, which is they map the lead to the site visit to the booking. So it is not just that they've got the leads, they've transferred it to the sales team, but when these leads are coming, they exactly want to know the percentage of leads going to site visit, going to getting to the final conversion. So this is a metric that they very seriously map, and they treat this as not a marketing issue, but they treat it as a finance issue, right? So when these budgets are getting wasted because of non human engagement or fraud engagement, they see this not as a marketing issue but as a finance issue, which makes it all the more important for them to take this seriously. And they verify leads before they route it to sales, as I mentioned. And while working with agencies, they explicitly focus on quality KPIs, right? This is very important because it's not just, they're not just talking about numbers that they want 500 leads or 1,000 leads this month. Their focus is largely on quality of those leads, right? So moving on. So, so think of these best practices, these protections as as having security at a premium apartment. So in a premium apartment, you know that it isn't just a guard which is sitting there. There is a registration desk. Uh, there is a key card. So it has to have multiple layers so that uh, you know the fraud isn't, or the junk lead isn't sweeping into your CRM, right? Cool. So I think lastly, this doesn't require a big commitment. This is all about uh, starting to audit. Making a little commitment of actually measuring what you're buying. So that's why, to make it very easy for somebody to do, and not do a complete overhaul of the marketing. What we've done is we do a free 7-day audit or a free check on your live traffic. It's a risk-free traffic, risk-free audit. Let us show you where the leak is happening before you commit to anything. So, but one thing is guaranteed, the higher morale, higher conversion, which eventually is not just a sales goal, but also marketing goal, right? So, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you found this session to be very useful, and I think we can move on to the question and answer uh, section.
Yes, thank you so much, Ranjeet. Thank you so much for that lovely session. Thank you guys for joining. We're opening the room to questions now. I can see a few questions have come in, but Deeps and Ranjeet would both be addressing the questions. So please put it in the Q&A section. And if you have any concerns, if you're not able to put it, then let us know as well. I'm gonna give it a few seconds before more questions come in. Okay, so the first question that we have is, our agency handles our Google ads and they tell us that Google already auto refunds us for invalid clicks at the end of the month. Okay, why do we need a separate tool if Google is already doing this filtering? Who would like to take this question? Deeps?
All right, I'll take it. It's a very valid question, and I think the first thing to pop in the minds of people when they're working with Google. So as Ranjeet was mentioning, right, Google has its own filtering mechanisms, and it tries to do a very good job at what it does. But on the other side of the Google, there is a whole set of publishers who generate these clicks, and in that process of onboarding publishers, there are a lot of suspicious publishers who get onboarded in Google and are always, I would say, playing different types of tactics, employing different types of techniques to generate new types of improvised fraud. We also call it as sophisticated invalid traffic. Now, when this sophisticated invalid traffic comes in, and this is a cat and mouse game, so more types of invalid traffic scenarios keep occurring. And when this SIVT type of traffic comes inside the system, Google sometimes fails to catch it. And especially if you're using Google PMax or display, there could be a great possibility that 15 to 20% of your traffic is really suspicious, which actually lands on your page and tries to fill up your forms as well. And this results in a significant amount of traffic, if your budget is larger, not to be caught by Google. So whatever Google can detect, it has a process of showing invalid clicks in your dashboard and refund it to you. But the ones which pass through, there is nobody to look at it, and that straight away impacts your budget.
Okay, great. Thank you, Deeps. Just so that everybody knows, the questions are anonymous, so nobody gets to know that you're the one who has asked the questions, if that is a concern. Okay. I'm just gonna move on to the next questions then. So the next question is, we use OTP verification on our landing pages. So the mobile numbers we get are completely valid and working. Are you saying that bots are somehow bypassing OTPs, or is there a different issue here?
Right. That's also valid. In fact, we have seen that there is a lot of today nowadays there is a lot of set of disposable numbers which are available, which automated scripts can get access to, and when they fill up the form, they fill those numbers which are actually valid numbers and generate a lead for you. And if you generate an OTP, an OTP goes to that number, and the script can read that OTP and fill that back in. So this is a type of fraud we have actually encountered at one of the real estate customers we have, and we were able to clearly see that these OTPs, eventually when you call them, there is nobody on the other side. So either the number will not be picked up, or the number will not be reachable if they have given on their subscription of disposable numbers. But they generate a lead, and if you are paying cost per lead, that's another way. If there are affiliates generating CPL campaigns, for running CPL campaigns for you, those cost per lead budget or all the number of leads is going waste again. And if it is CPC, then there is a certain number of clicks required to generate a lead. So all that CPC also goes away. So to answer your question, OTP verification can be easily spoofed.
Okay, we have another one. We have seen this issue sometimes that my pre-sales teams calls leads and people say I haven't filled this form, it's a wrong number. If a bot has filled it, how come I get a real person's email and contact and name?
Yeah,
How is
all of us go to malls. All of us go to a lot of other places where we keep filling out forms. We inadvertently generate lead data for a lot of third-party companies, and this data is out in the market for a significant long period of time. So it's very easy for a fraudster to generate names and corresponding mobile numbers who have never come to your form, never seen your ad, never filled up or become your lead. And when you call them, obviously the answer would be that, hey, I never filled this up, so why are you calling me? Again, I mean, you are trying to book an on-site visit by calling that person, and if a significant chunk of that is saying that I never filled up the form, then you have lost all the money which you have spent to get that guy here.
Okay. We do have 15 minutes left, so we can take a few more questions. The next one is, you had mentioned about blocking IPs. What if that starts affecting our genuine reach? If that's something that people implement within their campaigns.
Right. So see, the best idea is when you start blocking these IPs are genuinely suspicious. These IPs either exist on a server or exist in some kind of a data center, or come from spam networks or click farms. There is no genuine user sitting behind these IPs. So when you block these IPs, none of your reach is affected. Number one. Number two, another method of making sure that you get the right kind of audiences, connect ClickTrust to your Google account. It will automatically upload bad audiences to Google, and then Google understands that, hey, this is bad audience. I will not get this audience and lookalikes of this audience back to your campaign. So you can, and the biggest advantage is once you generate this bad audience and upload to Google, you can attach any campaign to it, because you for sure now know that this is my set of bad audience. I don't want it. I don't want this kind of audience coming on any of my lead gen pages, even on my website. Google will make sure that none of that audience is coming back to your website. So for both IPs and audiences, genuinely high risk and suspicious ones should go back to Google. If not, and then Google eventually makes sure, or if you upload it to Meta makes sure that that kind of audience doesn't come back to your pages. So I mean, to answer the question, it does not affect your reach at all. In fact, it improves your reach, and Google starts reaching out to people who are the right recipients for your ads.
Okay, thank you, Deeps. I'm just going to wait a few more seconds to see if there are any other questions that are going to come. If not, then yes, we will wrap the session up. I'm just going to give a few more seconds. Oh, okay, we got one more. Okay, for a 45-day launch campaign, for example, that we do, where we need massive volume quickly, okay, will the audience work from day one, or it takes time?
Okay, so if you exclude the audience and attach it to one of your campaigns, and you do a 45-day launch campaign, it will start getting in effect immediately. So that audience and the similar lookalike audience will start getting excluded from your campaign. So in Google, you have this provision of exclusion and inclusion. You can exclude the bad audience. And another thing is that we also identify the good audience. So you can actually upload the good audience and ask Google to get you more of that good audience also. So you can include good audience and exclude bad audience. The effect will be immediate.
Great. Okay. I think we can wrap the session up. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. Thank you so much for staying through the session. Thank you, Deeps, for handling the Q&A. And thank you so much, Ranjeet, for running the webinar. We're so grateful that everybody was able to attend. And thank you so much for your valuable questions. I'll be sending up a follow-up email regarding the webinar, which will be including the link to the video, so you'll have access. We'll also give you access to our ad fraud report and ebook that we did a research on last year and this year. So that'll give you more insight on the business and the system. We're also open to booking calls if anybody wants to get in touch with ClickTrust. Those links will be shared with you as well. But overall, I genuinely hope that you found the session insightful. A lot of your questions regarding click fraud were addressed, and we hope that it does affect your digital campaigns, and you all do better in your digital campaigns. So thank you so much for joining, and see you in another session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.